Welcome into a brand new Sports Hub Patriots podcast. Alex, Barth, Matt Dolloff with you from 98.5 The Sports Hub, 98.5thesportshub.com. We've got the mystery hand, as we've identified him on the show. He actually here helping us out for the start of the show.
It's the hand of truth, as I like to call it.
I like that. So the audio should be good throughout, and that's good because we've got a lot to talk about today, Dolloff. Dare I say, and feel free to push back on this, that was the Patriots' most interesting game of the year. I think in terms of meat on the bone, for what to talk about, what to break down from an actual football point of view, that game surpasses any other game they've played this year.
Probably, yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's either this or the season opener, I guess.
Yeah, that would be the one other one.
Nobody really saw that full of an effort coming, but yeah, I don't think anybody saw that effort yesterday coming either, even though they blew the game in the second half. I mean, for that to be a close game and, for them to lose by 3 points, I feel like that's sort of a fair way to look at it. It wasn't one of those games where it wasn't as close as the score indicated or anything like that. I feel like that was a relatively close, hard-fought game. The Patriots' own mistakes sort of doomed them in the end, but it is refreshing, Barthy, to have a close, interesting game to talk about.
A real football game.
As opposed to the Patriots getting their asses kicked, and we're just like, I don't know. They're gonna fire everybody.
You filled in on pregame last night, or postgame last night. Boy, if there was one game to fill in on, we should have, we already filled in for the first time. First time I filled in was the Jacoby Myers lateral game. Oh. And then you get that. So we got to have Ty fill in at some point, because when digital fills in on postgame, we get exciting. Maybe it's not always great, but it's definitely interesting.
Well, yeah, but it was interesting for me and Joe Murray to go back and forth talking about it. Joe was actually prescient talking with me off the air that I don't think this game was bad enough for the people to call. If the game was worse, if they got their asses kicked, they lost 50-0. We would have gotten more calls because people would have called in to bitch and moan, which rightfully so.
The calls we got after that Raiders game. I have a picture of the phone screener somewhere of just what the subject lines were. And it was just,
I think that was just
single word verbs. That was wild. But anyway, back Patriots, Bills. Patriots lose 24-21. And I think this is a very good week to ask you this question, Matt Dolloff.
Yes.
How do you feel about the Patriots coaching staff coming away from that game?
It's probably the best time of the year to ask that question, Barthy. Overall, I feel a little bit better. And I'm not saying that everybody deserves to come back, stay the course. Everybody's going to be great going forward. I'm not saying any of those things, but just considering the circumstances, you're going into Buffalo, cold weather. You're facing maybe the MVP of the league, the best quarterback in the league, Josh Allen, and they contained him. Josh Allen didn't have a great game.
That was as well as they've done against Josh Allen in a lot, probably since the Wind game, but the Wind was as much a part of that as they were. So that was one of the best games. And I don't think it was, he hurt his hand very late, but I don't think it was Allen being off. I think he was legitimately having trouble with what they were throwing at him.
Yeah, no, I think they had a pretty good plan defensively, which was we're going to rush for and hope for the best up front. They didn't get much pressure on him, but it was almost by design where we're not going to get behind him.
Is that mush rush?
The mush rush. We're going to push the pocket back. We're going to make him stand back there, hold the ball, think about it, because we're flooding the back two ends of the field with coverage. And so I thought it was a good plan. They came in, they were ready to go for that game, and they've had a lot of good starts. You could say they had a good half. It was sort of a tale of two halves, as Joe Murray described it. We'll probably get into the second half stuff. Good first half. They were prepared. They had a good plan on defense. They executed well, at least in the first half on offense, and just protect the ball. And they might come out with one of the most shocking upset wins of the year.
Would have been the upset of the year. I said on Sunday kickoff, and I stand by that. I think even for what it was one of the more surprising outcomes we've seen this season. And I just know, talking to people, Buffalo's worried. When a team like that,
because of this game,
so that's not me saying people within the building are worried, but I know the outcome of media and fans watching that team are we sure this is that magical season we thought we were gonna have?
Why did we just squeak this one out against the team that we've been?
They're not happy. So, and that's a fan base. It's really hard to get them to doubt that team because they are complete and total bobos. But
of course, well, not to say this is a perfect game for the coaching staff.
No, it's not. But I will say. And I wrote this last night on 98.5thesportshub.com. And it's one game. So this doesn't necessarily change my overarching approach on what the offseason should be. But this was the first time in a while, I think, the defensive coaching staff had a better game than the offensive coaching staff. The defense was good. There really weren't that many things I didn't like from the defense coaching-wise. I mean, there were Marte Mapu taking that ball out of the end zone. Come on, what are we doing?
Yeah.
But I guess you could say that's a reflection of coaching. But like overall, the plan was good. I thought they adjusted well within the game. They still can't stop the run, but
that was the big issue.
That was the big thing. Offensively, is more hot and cold. I really liked the play calling early on. I thought it was a good balance. I thought it was aggressive without being reckless. I liked that. We got some designed quarterback runs. Was Alex Van Pelt bullied into that? Maybe a little bit. I don't really care. We got it good. Check the box. It was the situational stuff, though. And you know how big I am on that. It was the situational stuff. And I'm going to pull up my list here that really got to me. And 4 specific instances that stood out in that
this
game.
This is why you need a legal pad and a pen. He's freaking scrolling through his phone.
So I had there's that early 4th and short where they punted. The punt didn't bother me as much as not challenging the 3rd down catch. Just looking at the replay we saw from the side, I thought Kendrick Bourne, I thought he maybe caught it the sticks. Even if he didn't, they definitely spotted him at least half a yard short. Maybe it's now easier to go for.
You're talking about the comebacker where he sort of caught it right around the line. You thought they might have spotted it bad?
The one after that one started weird because they took the penalty on the illegal formation on the kickoff instead of making the Bills re-kick. And then, the comeback.
Okay.
So I don't know how you felt about that one.
I thought the replay showed that he caught it basically behind the line. So I was okay with the spot and the call there, to be honest.
How'd you feel about the punt?
Wasn't that after they faked the punt? And
No, that was the next drive.
That was the next drive? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I forget they were around midfield on that play.
They were at their own 36.
I don't mind.
I didn't mind that punt as much as some people did.
It was 14-7 at the time.
Yes.
Yes. I mean, you're leading. You don't have to push it too hard, and I get, they pushed it pretty hard on the next drive. But yeah, no, that's a situation where I'm okay.
If you want to second guess that, you're further. I would have, and look, it worked out. I think it almost makes more sense. You have that fake punt, do it there.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're further up, but I guess they didn't feel close enough. Next drive, and this has become a pattern here. So they start moving the ball a little bit. They get a 3rd and 1, and they're blown up in the backfield. Shotgun, gun run. Gibson actually fumbled. Didn't like that play call. 4th and short, they run the fake punt. Good job. Like, good design. The Bills actually, I thought, reacted to that fake punt well. The Patriots just executed it better.
Yeah, Del Pettis.
Yeah, so
Patrick Chung, get your heart out.
Good execution there. What happened next, I didn't love. So they get the fake punt, and then they don't get the punt team off and the offense on fast enough. And so they have to burn a timeout to avoid the delay. And then I think they end up getting like 6 yards on the next 3 plays and punted or whatever. They punt again on that set of downs. And that's now 2 weeks in a row where we've seen something like that. Because when you call that timeout, they're like, you run a fake punt. Part of that is you execute the fake punt. The defense thought they were done. Now they got to come back on the field. They're on their heels. You have the momentum. You call a timeout that kind of gets to reset it. And a very similar thing happened last week where Antonio Gibson had a 29-yard run to get the Patriots down into the red zone. And this is when it was still a game. All right, you got, and this was after 10 and 15-yard runs by Ramondre Stevenson. So you're moving on the ground. You get down there. They have to call timeout because the play's not in time. That sequence of downs led to the 3rd and 1 stop and the 4th and 1 stop. So that, to me, is reflective of the coaching. You and some people say, oh, the punt team was celebrating too long on the field. That's a coaching thing. They got to know to get off and get the offense back on. That, and now that it's happened 2 weeks in a row, mistake repeater, that sequence really bugged me.
Yeah, no, this is why Gerard Mayo is a little in over his head right now as the head coach, where like his head's sort of spinning in all these situations where he's a little prepared, but he's sort of like 40% prepared for any given situation. Right. So he was ready to execute that fake punt, wasn't ready to get the punt team off the field. They cut to him, like sort of rushing them off the field. Like, let's go. And this is the thing that we saw covering the Bill Belichick teams in camp. Like they practice those plays where, the offense has to run off, right? The kicking unit has to run on, like those sort of rushed units type of plays where like they have to run on the field real quick and execute a play, with precious time on the clock. And so I think that was just a situation where Gerard Mayo needs to, have this team prepared for not just that play, but what comes after. They have to be ready for the whole thing. They had to practice the whole sort of, sequence.
Right.
And so that was just an example of them not being fully prepared for that situation. And like that's why I asked about the punting, is that I probably would have gone for it on that fourth down later in that drive, where it's like you sort of set the precedent where like we're going for it on this drive. We are going to get into field goal range and or score a touchdown at all costs.
That was surprising.
I would have gone for it on the later fourth down.
That was surprising after the fake punt. But again, they're kind of set back because they lose the momentum because they can't get lined up the play before. Similar issue, fast forward to the fourth quarter. So this is the drive after the fumble, backwards pass, whatever you want to call it. We'll get to that. Pats down 24-14, get the ball back. They're up near midfield, 3rd and 1. Play call doesn't come in on time. This time it's second half. They take the delay instead. 3rd and 6 or 3rd and 5 because it was inches. They get stopped. This was the really conservative punt of all. As much as we talked about this coaching staff being conservative, this to me is the most conservative decision they made all year.
That was the most conservative punt I've ever seen, I think.
And Maye, I've seen some bad ones in college football. Oh, no, didn't Mike Tomlin,
I thought you were going to say Mike McCarthy, probably.
No.
Oh,
no, it was Vrabel. It was a Titans Steelers. It was either late in the year or a playoff game a couple years ago. And Vrabel punted at like the +40, I think down 4 late in the fourth quarter. I remember seeing it and being like aghast because it's Vrabel. You don't think of that.
Right.
But anyway, this was bad too. This was pretty bad too.
Yeah.
And again, it comes with, and this was a theme throughout it. And when we talk about the coaching staff being better late in the year, you talk about the operation of it. It's not necessarily wins and losses because of the roster, but as the operation cleaner, they weren't getting play calls in time. It was almost Mike McDaniel-esque. And Gerard Mayo talked about it this morning and said there were different issues in different situations. He didn't really pin anything down. I know it's loud there. I know it's tough, but professional operation, you got to be getting the play in. And they could have at least, even if they don't get the 3rd and 1, they could have had a 4th and 1. I would assume they're going for that. They're not punting that. So that was that to me was, when we talk about that punt decision was not good. Let's also remember the fact that they didn't get the play call in on the 3rd and 1 before it that set that situation up, because that's just as egregious.
I mean, yeah, maybe that sort of spooked Gerard Mayo at the moment where it's like, all right, we're not,
good point.
We're not crisp right now. Let's just move on and get him back the next possession. But no, I mean, that was a no-brainer to go for it. 8.5 minutes left in the game. You're down 10. You're at the 45-yard line. Their own 45, but still, like,
they're near midfield.
What's the difference at that point in the game? You're down 10. And they get best case scenario, you get a quick 3 and out. Like, you're still taking 2.5 minutes off the clock. So best case scenario, you're going to get the ball back with about 6 minutes left.
I think they got it back with like 5 and change, 5:20, 5:30.
Exactly. And then like you still have to score twice to tie or win the game at that point. And it's like, I feel like he had too much faith in his defense to get a stop in that situation. I feel like that was a time to show urgency, and like they came up short.
Absolutely. Urgency, time to show urgency is a great way to put it. And they didn't do that. My fourth coaching thing, and this more so goes to Van Pelt. So they do get the ball back. They actually started moving it, and they get to the Buffalo 4 after the Bills jump off sides. They have the ball, 1st and goal at the 4 with 2:26 to go.
This is a great stat that I think Bedard posted.
It takes them 9 plays, including penalties, because the Bills had some defensive penalties that reset the downs. 9 plays, literally half the clock. They went from 2:26 to 1:13.
They took exactly
73 seconds
of the remaining
It took them 9 plays and 73 seconds to go 4 yards to score. And look, they scored. Okay. But I'm looking at that after the punt. I'm thinking it's over. The Bills are going to run out the clock. They get the ball back. And I'm looking there. They get down inside the red zone. It's like, if you score before the 2-minute warning, which they had 26 seconds to do that from the 4-yard line again, I'm like, all right, so you're going to have all 3 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. Like, that, you have a real chance to get this back and like run a drive, not have Joey Slye kick a 76-yard field goal. You have a real shot at this. And obviously that didn't happen. They get the touchdown, but too many times scoring the red zone. And what particularly bothered me was 9 plays. Like, we have a pretty solid sequence to look at. The Bills are just blitzing the crap out of them. And it's not like a bad idea by the Bills, but after the 2nd or 3rd one, put a blitz beater in the call. And Drake Maye just had no answers when the entire city of Buffalo was running after him.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't have taken that long for them to score. And I think a lot of that was a play calling issue.
Yeah, I think they had a lot of issues in the red zone, as between the play calling and the execution. Drake Maye with the bad interception, which I don't know if you want to get to that particular play right now.
We can get to that.
But yeah, no, like that was just, I thought that was just overall, that was just a poor game management situation where you're like I said, they literally took off 50% of the remaining clock, where like the clock is your enemy at that point in the game. You're playing against the clock, especially when you're down 10 and then, even 3 late in the game. It's like, I think they hopefully Gerard Mayo at least learned that 8.5 minutes down 10, that's not a ton of time.
Especially against that team.
Yeah, you can say, well, there's plenty of time, but you still have to play aggressively, play with urgency. Yeah. You can't just take your time and say, we're going to establish the run, do this and that, we're going to punt. And
that's the thing. They were running the ball, coming back the other way.
Play field position. Like Gerard Mayo said, it was a field position thing. It's like, why are you thinking that hard about field position at that point in the game? Like you gotta score. You gotta get moving here. And so hopefully he learns from that, for next season, because it seems like he's going to be back.
And it's a feel of the game thing too, where it's one thing. Let's say it's like a 10-3 game, right? And they haven't been able to run the ball at all. Okay, that punt makes a lot more sense because your offense isn't working. Your defense has been good. They're not going to be able to run the ball and run the clock. Flip the field position. The Bills are running, even to play Gerard Mayo's favorite game of take the big run out, right? The Bills ran for 6 yards a carry, including James Cook's 46-yard touchdown run. Even when you take that run out, which again, you can't, that's a big part of the game, but just to play through this exercise, because I like doing this now, the Bills still ran for 4.7 yards per carry, or 4.666, whatever, something. That's still pretty good. And that's not a run game I would want to give the ball back to with a chance to run out the clock. Now, the Bills are idiots and came out throwing, even though their quarterback busted his hand, because I gave Sean McDermott way too much credit on the pregame, saying, well, I think the Bills are going to come out and run the clock because that's a smart thing to do.
Joe and I were laughing in the postgame, like they just lost to a no-handed quarterback.
Yeah, well,
the guy has 0 hands,
despite Sean McDermott's best efforts too. But
you gotta wonder if a handed quarterback would that be a better option.
What bothered me so much about that punt wasn't necessarily just the situation from 50,000 feet. It was, they are going to get the ball back and run, and you cannot stop the run. It was the lack of awareness of the pulse of the way that game was going, as much as it was this. And look, situation itself, there's definitely conversation to punt, but I think if I'm in that spot, right, the first thing I'm thinking is, because I think objectively it's a 50-50 decision to punt there. It is 4th and 6. It's not 4th and 1. The first thing I'm thinking is, what are they going to do when we give them the ball back? Oh, they're going to run it right down our throat. Yeah, we need to go for this.
I think it's overthinking it. I think it's just, you need points.
That's
down 10 and yes, you can think about it's Josh Allen. We're going to give him the ball back. They're going to run it. Hopefully they don't score again. But you need points at that stage of the game.
Anything else on the coaching staff? We can get to the big picture of the Ian Rappaport report too, that you referenced.
I thought that the critical play of the game, the fumble that the Bills recovered for a touchdown, I thought that was a bad play call. Like, why are we calling that play? Even though it turns out it sounds like they meant for that to be a forward pass. They didn't mean for that ball to go backwards. So you can look at, there's a lot of blame to go around on that play. DeMontre Jacobs completely whiffs on his cut block. Ramondre Stevenson gets his hands on the ball, but can't, pops it up in the air. Drake Maye probably could have thrown a little bit better of a ball, maybe not thrown it backwards to begin with. But why are we calling a play like that when your own end zone is right behind you? Like, you got to be throwing the ball forward, not even sideways. Like, you got to be moving forward in that situation.
So I know I'm in the minority on this. If I'm ranking what went wrong there, I don't think play calling's towards the top. And if you want to have a problem with Alex Van Pelt in this game, there's plenty of opportunities to have a problem with him. The red zone play calling that we talked about, some of those 3rd and short gun runs that we talked about. There were some other play calling minutia type things. That play to me, if we were to rank who's at fault, top of the list, DeMontre Jacobs. I mean, that cut block it's just not good.
It wasn't even close.
It's not even close. And you see what they're setting up for. It's take that guy's legs out, swing it out to Ramondre Stevenson, and now he has a runway to get going and get up to speed. I'd also say if we're ranking issues for Alex Van Pelt, putting Ramondre Stevenson back in the game is a bigger issue to me than that play call itself. But number one, at the very top of the list, with a gap behind him, is DeMontre Jacobs. Like, you have to hit that block. That entire play is dependent on you hitting that block. And again, he didn't even come close to slowing him down. Number 2 is Ramondre Stevenson. I know he took a hit. Ball hits both of your hands, catch it. Just kind of a rule of thumb of mine. ball hits both your hands, you should catch it. Really, both of your palms, not even a fingertips, both your palms.
Right in his hands,
yeah. And then he didn't run a crisp route. I thought that at the time that it felt like he kind of sensed that block wasn't there and started fading back. If that's a normal flat route, it's an incomplete pass. It's not great, but no harm, no foul, right? And he faded back. I think Drake Maye too needs to lead him more upfield instead of throw that ball back to him.
That wasn't a great play.
Right.
It went in the books officially as a Drake Maye fumble.
Right. And then I probably have Van Pelt fourth. So
you're really in the minority on that one.
I know I am.
I think you're really putting the ball in harm's way to call that play on your own
but
4-yard line or whatever.
The play we saw was not the play that was called, I guess, is where I
think even if you're throwing the ball forward on that, you're running the risk of a guy jumping the route and just getting an easy pick six. Like I would not even put that, risk out there.
The Bills are getting pretty aggressive defensively at that point. If it's me, like I get the thought process. I guess I would have gone with a traditional screen. That's basically what they're trying to do. Yeah. They're trying to catch the Bills shooting too far upfield and hit something small behind him and catch and run, which backed up to the end zone. Like, I do feel like the Bills defense would have been susceptible to that. Call a regular screen. If I have a gripe with Van Pelt on that play, it's don't call a play that's reliant on the right tackle who's been getting beat all day and the running back who just fumbled.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the philosophy doesn't bother me as much as the execution, I guess, is my overall from the players and the coaching staff. The philosophy doesn't bother me as much as the overall execution.
I get it. No, it's a team-wide breakdown. I think Mayo had another funny one in this press conference this morning that you were there for, where it's like, well, if he makes a block and Stevenson catches the ball and the ball's not going backward, then it's a pretty good play.
Right.
Yeah, just, take away all the mistakes that we made and, turn them into executed plays, and it's a good play.
I'm not trying to do that thing. Let me be clear. I'm not trying to do the take it away thing. this is how my set of eyes saw it. I look at the execution. That's just, you want to, I'm not saying you're wrong for questioning the play call, but let's not act like it was, they did what they were supposed to do and the play call just didn't work. That was not supposed to look like that.
Yeah, no, it's not even close, especially Jacobs.
No, yeah, especially, yeah, they need to get Caden Wallace back in the lineup. Like, I don't know that Caden Wallace makes that block. It's hard to picture he could have much worse of an attempt. You know what I'm saying?
No, there's a reason Jacobs wasn't even on an NFL team basically until this year.
Right. So that's, I think that covers the coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about all the punting. Yeah, that pretty much covers it. Well, actually, quickly.
Okay.
The Mapu interception.
Yeah.
This is what I wanted to ask you about. Like, do people put that on? Can you put that on coaches where it's like you got to have that guy prepared for that situation? Or is that like a common sense no brainer? Like every player should know you catch the ball in the end zone like that, just take a knee.
I'll say like,
because he ain't Ed Reed.
I'll say like 90-10 player.
Yeah.
You've been playing football for, if that's like a high school game, it's on the coaches, right? But how long's Marte Mapu been playing football, right? You catch the ball in the end zone, defender right behind you, defender right there, sit on that.
Right.
Like, that's got to be a common sense thing.
And he's supposed to be a guy with a high football IQ who knows his situation.
Right. Should the coaches get in his ear, getting the defense entirely before that play? Hey, 3rd and long. We know this guy's tendencies. If he throws you an arm punt, just, make sure you know what you're doing. But they could have said that, and he could have run it out. So that
was a funny tweet by CBS Sports when they tweeted that spectacular throw by.
Well, yeah, because we can't say Josh Allen did anything. CBS was on. They were giving Josh Allen something special yesterday. Did you see
100% a Bills fan?
Did you see the post game graphic where they included Drake Maye's interception, but not one of his touchdowns, and they left off Josh Allen's interception?
It's fair.
So I get
take away the interceptions.
If you take both interceptions off, okay, we're not listing interceptions. We're being positive. That's fine. But no, we can't list Joshy Poo's interception because that might hurt his feelings. And he already has 2 hurt hands, poor baby. But guy's so freaking ridiculous the way that guy's covered. It just,
I was gonna say it's not him. It's the
yeah.
way he's covered.
So this is what
I felt this way about Peyton Manning back in the
day. I have this thing with Josh Allen, right? And what people misunderstand is I don't dislike Josh. I mean, he beats the Patriots. I don't like that. But like,
whenever I compliment him in our group chats, you're like, don't ever say that again.
Well, but it's like, because
the
guy can't, it's not even that you can't criticize him. And he will criticize himself, and pointing that out offends his fans. But perfect example. A couple weeks ago, they played Niners in the snow, right? Remember the lateral play where like he throws to Amari Cooper laterals back to him? Did you hear one person say that was a good play by Amari Cooper? Did you see one person say, what a heads-up play by Amari Cooper? I didn't see one person. And I said that to a friend of mine who's a Bills fan. Oh, you just want to take away from Josh Allen. I didn't say anything about Josh Allen. There was another guy there that made the freaking play. That
was an unbelievable play, but Cooper made the lateral to Allen, right?
Yes. No, Josh Allen lateraled it to himself and did all the blocking. He also served the post-game meal and cleaned the locker room after. Like, it's
also he's won the last 5 Super Bowls
right.
in a row.
He is. There are. This is why Stephon Diggs is the most underrated receiver in the league for years, because the Bills don't have a 53-man roster. They have Josh Allen, and he's the only one that does anything, except for yesterday, because the defense had a very good game plan on Josh Allen. Drake Maye outplayed Josh Allen yesterday. Drake Maye looked more like Josh Allen than Josh Allen did yesterday. Am I wrong in saying that?
No, you're not wrong in saying that. He made some plays with his legs.
I mean, the spin move for the first down early on,
that was the first down was great, and the way he was holding the ball, it's like, all right, protect the ball, get the play. So that was good. And I thought the third down throws were my favorite part of Drake.
There was one, I think it was late in the first. It was late in the first half, early in the second half, where he has Hunter Henry on an out, and Henry's pretty covered, but he throws the ball before Henry turns, and that anticipation creates the window. And that was the kind of throw, you go back to training camp, that was really the kind of throw he was struggling with, was that anticipation, being a step ahead of the receiver.
Throwing to the outside in general, honestly.
Yeah, he's been really good outside the numbers.
Yeah.
Was it a perfect game? No. The interception, it's tough to say. Did Hooper round out his route too far? Did he get tripped? Was it an underthrow?
I thought it was a bad decision. I think it was 1st and 10 from
That's a good way to put it.
Live to see another down. That was a situation where it's like, just throw the ball away or do something different, as Maye said. I thought the way the play came out, like you look at the individual play in a vacuum, like, Hooper fell. It was a little bit of an underthrown ball. So it's like, the execution wasn't there, but I just hated the decision.
I think it was against pressure. I think he's probably rushed, and we know, like, the tight ends are his safety blankets, and that's probably what he's thinking. But that wasn't great. He also had the fumble late, just dropped the snap down there in a red zone. I think.
Oh yeah.
That was what, 8 plays into that 9-play red zone experience.
I wanted to blame Ben Brown for that.
He's probably getting frantic. Just like I said with the Ramondre Stevenson one, hits in both hands, catch it. That is right there for him, and he dropped it.
You gotta do that almost every play. So you gotta hold on to the
right. But I think he definitely took a step back turnover wise. I don't like that. Although it was against, even with the Bills backups, a better defense. They had most of their front. I think they're mostly banged up in the secondary, right? I think to go into that environment, the way that game was kind of built up, and play the game he did is encouraging for the future. Because outside of that one fumble, it never felt like the lights were too bright for him in that game. And that was something I legitimately wondered about going in. I'll give Buffalo credit for this. It's a great football environment. It's not easy to go in there as a visitor. A lot of NFL stadiums, especially nowadays, are soft. That's not a soft environment. It's the coldest game he'd ever played in. They're bringing the pressure on him early. Their whole game plan felt like, we are going to make this kid make plays he doesn't want to make. And he got him up and down the field. And it wasn't perfect, but he did it. And as a rookie, I feel like that's encouraging, because as he said after the game, you want to be in more spots like that as the Patriots. On the road, against a Super Bowl caliber team, trying to pull off either an upset or close game or whatever, and he handled it. And I think that's moving forward, I think that's a great sign.
Yeah, no, like I said at the top of the pod, like the circumstances going into that building in the frigid weather, and you're going up against the best quarterback in the league. I know they don't play against each other, that classic debate.
Right.
But like the matchup of him and Josh Allen, like going basically toe to toe with him, and that's sort of a wash on the turnovers because they both had an interception. Like I thought overall that was a good game for him. He's obviously got to cut back on the turnovers. I was saying it on post game with Joe last night. It's like, if he keeps doing that, if he keeps throwing red zone interceptions, like he's not going to win as many games as he should, according to his talent. He's got to cut back on
So
that.
He said after that, I'm not going to find the quote in time. He said after the game something that was like, at a certain point, the red zone issues are on the quarterback, and I've got to be better. I do wonder if the red zone issues are getting to him and making him feel like he has to do more than he needs to do. Like, it's not great if he feels that way, but you could understand kind of that thought process. So I think getting, this offseason in particular, when we talk about upgrading the offense, getting a red zone guy, getting somebody that can be that red zone option. I know The Athletic had a podcast this morning saying that, it's time for the Seahawks to trade DK Metcalf. Makes you think. But
Joe and I were talking about that last night, trading one of their draft picks for Metcalf.
I mean, I've been in for 8-9 months now on that.
I'm trying to think. I forget exactly what the discussion was. I think it involved the 2 or 3 pick, like if they had the number 2 pick.
Oh, I don't even think you need to do that.
I don't think you can. I was like, does anyone ever trade like the 2nd overall pick for a player? Who would you even trade that for?
Maybe to move down.
Jamar Chase. I'll take Jamar Chase for the 2nd overall pick.
If Seattle doesn't make the playoffs and it's like 2 for Metcalf and 12, like maybe something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to do that though. Like
a little bit.
You look at, he needs a new contract, so that knocks the price down. You look at what receivers have gone for the last few years, a 2nd and a 5th for DK Metcalf.
Right. And you're looking at, 33, 34
right.
again for the 2nd pick.
And like, let's say they're going to take a trenches player up top, whether it's a tackle, whether it's Abdul Carter, edge rush or something, right? Let's say they're going to do that. So especially if it's a tackle, wide receiver is your 2nd pick, you would think. Are you going to draft a receiver better than DK Metcalf at 34? Probably not.
With this team.
Especially with this team, right? It's the Family Guy, the mystery box or the boat. The receiver at 34 could be anyone.
Mackerel loves the mystery box.
Right. The receiver at 34 could be anyone. He could even be DK Metcalf, right? Best case scenario, that guy becomes DK Metcalf. You can get the guy and, you got the cap room to pay him. Don't be the Tennessee Titans trading A.J. Brown for Treylon Burks. Treylon Burks could be anything. He could even be A.J. Brown. Turns out he wasn't, and it got 2 people fired. It got Mike Vrabel and John Robinson fired, especially John Robinson. But, yeah, that thing interests me. Other takeaways from the game. Where are you at with Ramondre Stevenson?
That contract does not look good right now.
No, it doesn't. And I'm somebody who defended it. It doesn't.
It's going to be a 30 years old with an $11 million cap hit.
I don't think it's not. I got to pull it up. I don't think it's a real 4-year contract, is it?
Well, no 4-year contracts are real 4-year contracts. They're going to be trading him in a couple years probably or cutting him or whatever.
I think they can get out after next year.
Yeah, no, I always say every contract is like every 4-year deal is like a glorified 2-year deal.
Ramondre Stevenson, they can get out with no, it is like a 3-year contract. Oh no, that's including this. Yeah, they're stuck with him through 2026. I thought there was like one less year on that. Oh no, they could do post 1 going into 2026. So it's really just through next year.
I forget who posted the stat, but he's the only running back since 2020 with 7 fumbles in the season.
I've seen people posting Stephen Ridley comps, which
he's worse than Stephen Ridley.
Oh no, he's a better running back than Stephen Ridley, but
he's worse with the fumbles.
Ridley was pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean but one of his most infamous fumbles is when he got knocked
That's
out.
That's true. But no, the other thing that hurts him, and look, I know Gibson fumbled yesterday, but Gibson's been better than him for the last 3 weeks, month, right? Something like that. And
I'm bringing Gibson back up on the pitch.
I think they signed him a 3-year deal. I think he's here.
I keep forgetting they signed him to not a 1-year.
You just have, you know what? I forgot that earlier this year, but didn't you do that with Kendrick Brown too? You just have everybody on a 1-year deal.
Yeah. I had Kendrick Bourne on a 1-year deal like forever.
I think
no.
I think, well, at first I thought you were just talking about because they can get out easily after 1 year. And I just thought you were talking about, it's essentially a 1-year deal.
I just look at every contract as 1-year deal.
Oh, what a nuanced take for Matt Dolloff.
It is 4 years, $30 million. All right, 1-year deal. Here we go.
Yeah, they have Gibson the next 2 years. So he's in the building. He's been good. Wide receiver wise, nice little bounce back from Kayshon Boutte. I think Jalen Polk's in the doghouse now with Javon Baker. Played fewer snaps than Baker. Only played 3 snaps.
I'm very frustrated with that.
I
don't understand it. This is a guy that in camp looked like their best receiver.
Got the yips.
He was consistent, caught everything. And I get it. He's not the fastest guys. He's not going to get great separation, but he runs solid routes. I thought he had a good head on his shoulders. Apparently not. The attitude has been obviously an issue, overconfident. And then what is wrong with him? This is a total mess.
I think it's mental. I think it's just a mental block. And, we've all had that. You have a bad day and suddenly it goes from bad to worse because now you're not focused because you think about how bad of a day you're having. And
I just refuse to accept that this guy just can't play. But I guess that would be par for the course with the Patriots. But, this is a guy that, N'Keal Harry never really showed that kind of promise as a first-round pick.
I think N'Keal had an individual – I remember looking at this – no, because he never had 12 catches in a game. But, yeah, this is N'Keal Harry had months. He would have a month that was more productive than Jalen Polk's had this season.
It's just I don't get it. I really don't get it, especially just the way that Polk looked in camp. And the unbelievable thing is, like, I feel like they drafted him because he had like a high floor, and it's like we're not gonna go boom or bust here. We're gonna take a safe pick. We're gonna take a guy that has a high floor, and he's not gonna be a total bust. He might not be a star receiver, but he won't be a bust. He'll be a solid, at least a complimentary kind of receiver.
Right, and
I feel like if he puts it all together, he can still be a complimentary receiver for them. But it's been a disaster.
There's a long way to go to get to complimentary at this point. And look,
crazy.
he'll have another year. He's a second round pick. He's going to be on the team next year.
He's not Duke Dawson. They're going to give him another shot.
Well, that's right. They did give up on Duke Dawson after 1 year, but he got hurt though.
Yeah, he wasn't.
He broke his ankle or something. What was it? Early in camp,
I think he barely ever even played.
Yeah, he did, but because he was hurt.
In the league.
Polk's not hurt, so we'll see. Like Javon Baker might not be here next year. 4th round pick. You're not tied.
All bets are.
It would be an upset. You don't want to lose a 4th round pick after 1 year, but it happens, especially if they go out and they make multiple additions at wide receiver, because Pop's still going to be here. I think Kendrick Bourne's still going to be here. I do think Kayshon Bouttie's still going to be here because he's been up and down. He's been erratic. Him and Drake Maye have some chemistry though. And I think that's like a 4th receiver. He's probably a good option.
I think you make a big move for Metcalf, or you sign T. Higgins, or whatever.
Right.
You make a big move for a receiver. I think the rest of the guys are fine, honestly.
It's placeholder TBD, Metcalf, Higgins, whoever. That's 1. Bourne, Boutte, Pop, and I'm just doing these in the order they come in my head. That's 4. Polk's still going to be here.
Hunter Henry.
That's 5.
Is Austin Hooper on a 1-year deal?
Yes.
All right.
I'm just going.
I'd bring back Austin.
Well, now
Hooper.
I got to double check.
I'd bring back Austin Hooper. I feel like if you put a real number 1 like Metcalf on top of that group, I feel like that's a pretty good group.
I don't know that I would with Hooper, just because I think he's going to get like a decent contract after this year. I think he's going to probably be looking to be paid like a number 1.
Yeah, you don't have to overpay.
I like the idea of getting. It's a really good tight end draft. Day 3, promising project tight end. He kind of takes that Austin Hooper number 2 tight end role for the next couple years, with the idea that you're developing him, that when Hunter Henry's contract's up, he's now your number 1. And so by moving on from Hooper, you have room for him to play on the field. I was just doing those numbers though. So I got to 5. If they add another receiver, that's 6. Like, is there room for Javon Baker next year? I don't think so.
No, I don't think there's room.
If they make the moves they need to make.
I think he's already gone at this point.
I
don't know what he could possibly show that to say he deserves to stay.
You good on the offense?
Yeah.
All right. Defensively, I got 1 up, 1 down for 2 ups, 1 down. Do a little compliment sandwich here. Up, Jonathan Jones. This was his best game of the year.
Yep.
Good to see him bounce back. He is on an expiring contract, so there you go.
I'd bring him back, make him a Patriot for life.
We'll see. So I think it's notable that all the guys they paid, they didn't pay Wise, they didn't pay John Jones. That tells me that maybe those guys aren't locks to come back. But they got what they needed out of John Jones. He's such a good piece against the Bills, specifically the way they run their offense. Liked what I saw from him. Down, Kyle Duggar. Not on a 1-year contract. That might end up being a problem. They need him to bounce back in a big way. You almost hope that these issues are because of his ankle injury, and maybe he's dealing with something else we don't know, because that would be mind-blowing regression if this is due to something other than like he physically can't make the plays at this point.
Right. I was gonna say I feel like he's really just a box safety. I think they've seen enough of him in coverage that he's not going to be good in coverage, but he's also been missing tackles. So it's like he's gotta tighten that stuff up. He made a couple good tackles yesterday. He
had that one, was it Kincaid, where he stepped up and made the tackle on the quick out, where I was like, where's this guy been? Like, that's right. Kyle Duggar.
That's what he is.
Where's he been?
Box and close quickly on the shorter stuff. And, that's what Kyle Duggar is.
But even
that's sort of a situation. I put Tavai in the same category, Jelani Tavai, where it's like they're sort of misusing.
They're out of position,
playing out of position
100%.
a little bit. Like, I don't think Kyle Duggar's not a coverage safety. Get a safety you can cover.
But I'll even say this:
another part. Add it to the to-do list.
I wanted them to add a real free safety, but even when Duggar's in the box, like, he struggled to tackle, and that's been that's the coverage stuff. I know it's the tackling issues. The third up I had, and I've become a big fan of this guy, and this is what we're celebrating. Yeah, this is what we're celebrating at this point. They're 3-12. Christian Ellis, is Christian Ellis a top 10 player on this team in terms of like production and output this year
overall?
Yeah.
Top 10 overall.
Maybe not like skill, because there's guys who are more skilled who have had bad years, but
Ellis has been, especially according to what he is, like
1 year deal. let me check. That one I don't remember. They might have brought him back for 2 years.
Okay, well, I'd be happy for him to come back. 'Cause either way, like, yeah, I've been happy with Ellis this year. I think he's been, I don't know if he's been playing out of position or not, but like, I feel like he's made enough plays where it's like he's been a pleasant surprise. And I feel like, was it the Miami game where he had a bad penalty? He had like a late hit. Like, other than that, like, I feel like he's been a solid player.
1 year deal, but he's an RFA. In a year where so much has been made defensively of guys being out of position and having fundamental breakdowns, he's constantly in the right place at the right time. You don't really see him blowing assignments. He's not out there making plays left and right, but you don't really see him getting beat either.
Yeah. There was that pass breakup on the wheel route down the field.
Where like it hits him in the back of the helmet.
He wasn't looking for the ball, but
he's right there in coverage. And it's you kind of need guys like that. So I think, I don't know that he's the answer to that sideline to sideline 3-down linebacker next to Bentley that we've been talking about. As a 3rd down specialist who's going to help in coverage, rush the passer, and then play on special teams, he's a nice player. He's a nice player. I'd take him back. And I think, again, when I say top 10 player, like, think about, he's been better than Kyle Duggar this year, right?
Overall,
like the guys on defense you're looking at to make plays. He's been, which Brill Peppers didn't really play. He's been better than Keon White, right? I would say he's done more for you than Keon White has. He's done more, some of those other guys.
Invisible in some
right.
Of these games.
Offensively, some of the guys you're counting on that haven't been good, like Christian Ellis is he's showed up and played every week. And that's an incredibly low bar, but that's kind of where we are with this team.
Yeah, especially this point in the season, for him to not give up on the season. It's, he deserves credit for how he's playing.
Any other thoughts on that's kind of all I had on the defense. We already talked about the game plan on Allen. That was my big takeaway. I like the game plan on Allen, and they still can't defend the run.
We didn't. Yeah, I was gonna say we didn't talk much about the James Cook touchdown run. I thought that set a bad tone.
Some bad angles,
another bad angles, the blown gaps,
missed tackles.
Tavai, Taki both blew their gap there.
Duggar missed a tackle.
Very frustrating that like we're in week 16 and they're still blowing gap assignments. Yep. So you got to look at Dante Hightower, the inside linebacker coach. I feel like that's sort of an example where you maybe you stay the course because he's young. Inexperienced, he'll get better, but like just because you were great as a player doesn't necessarily mean you can pass that down to players as a coach. Like I just feel like they haven't been coached up on their gaps nearly well enough. They should have been able to figure that part out by now, even without Juwan Bentley. So it'd be good to get Juwan Bentley back. But
I do think some of that's personnel. And even up front, like they have Devon Godshaw. That's kind of it. They don't really have other guys that are gap fillers up front.
Yeah, this was sort of, you could look at Elliott Wolf for this, where like they had no insurance policy, no plan B for Juwan Bentley if he got hurt.
Yeah,
so then maybe they'll correct that in the offseason.
Look, some of it's coaching, but I also think that's one where you circle the personnel. That was kind of my big takeaway from this week, the way the team was talking about coming out of the Cardinals game going to this. Are there issues with the coaching staff? Absolutely. And it's totally fair to talk about. It should be talked about. And I get, it's late in the year. You don't really talk about the GM. The GM's an off-season topic. The head coach is an in-season topic. The GM's an off-season topic. I understand that. Don't let the coaching issues overshadow the roster issues this team has, because that is still that should still be issue number one when talking about the Patriots. The roster is not good enough. Period. Full stop. Sean McDermott is not a good coach, and the Bills are 13-2. Or 12-3, or whatever the hell they are. 12-3.
I mean, Dan Campbell earlier this year with the.
I think Dan Campbell's a good coach, but
he's good. But like he lost them a game recently because he had a bad decision to go for it on 4th down or whatever that was with the field goals, and that, like, I'm not saying he's a bad coach, but like, a good roster can overcome coaching mistakes.
Right.
Like
if
they had better players and they were executing and not turning the ball over, the fact that Gerard Mayo punted with 8 minutes left in the game wouldn't really matter so much.
Right, exactly. You add better play, and this doesn't mean Gerard Mayo's the coach for life. Like, that's not. But if you add better players, the coaching's suddenly going to look better. And maybe it's still not good enough. Maybe next year they have a better roster. These coaching issues are still here, and coaching becomes issue number one. I'm not saying it can't be. I just think for where we are right now, Elliott Wolf, the roster, and I understand why the coaching is the topic of the day right now. We got like 2 games left, right? 2 weeks left. And then it's all eyes on Elliott Wolf, because if they don't fix this roster, it doesn't matter who's coaching it.
Yeah, look, if they fix the offensive line, they get a real left tackle, a real right tackle. They get at least a good receiver, if not a true number one. Like, they improve at those positions. Yep. They get a pass rusher.
Yep.
They maybe throw another safety in there.
Yeah.
Maybe throw an interior defensive lineman in there.
Yeah.
They fix all those problems. All of a sudden,
I counted 7.
And then Gerard Mayo also continues to talk like he did yesterday after his press conferences. Guarantee we're going to be talking a lot less about Gerard Mayo next
Probably.
year. Probably going to win more games, and we're not going to be talking so much about how much of a disaster Mayo has been in.
So I guess we'll wrap it up. We'll wrap it up on this then. There's a report from Ian Rappaport before the game that, just to surmise it, basically said, like, the Crafts are looking to bring Gerard Mayo back. They know this is a multi-year thing. Pending it going off the rails, he'll be back. And I think after yesterday, that it's on the rails. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. It's not the best train, but it's on the rails.
Hold on to the ball, Ramondre.
How do you feel about all that?
I think they did enough to survive. And I mean, I know that, if they're 3-14 at the end of the year, you'd understand if something had to change, or you needed to at least add someone with experience, or someone that, or at least have experience running this Patriots system that could be a better, assistant to Marcus Covington on the defensive side of the ball. Like, maybe if there's going to be a fall guy, it probably should be Covington with the way that
I'm with you. I'm worried it's going to be Van Pelt, but
I don't think Van Pelt would deserve that. I think he's done enough to sort of save his job. I'm not saying Alex Van Pelt is anything special, and the mistake was maybe making him the offensive coordinator in the first place. But I think between Drake May's development and how much better the offense has looked this year, and how, again, like, not that this matters too much, but Van Pelt's always been, professional with the way he's talked to the media and all that stuff. I'm not saying that's the most important thing, but he's been a sharp contrast to Mayo in that regard. So if Alex Van Pelt is the fall guy for this, and like Mayo and Covington keep that would be embarrassing.
So that
would be a tough look.
That dynamic would be interesting, because Covington is one of the few hires that's not from that Elliott Wolf, Green Bay, Cleveland tree.
Yeah.
Right. Van Pelt, most of the offensive coach staff, even on defense, Jerry Montgomery, Drew Wilkins. Mm-hmm. It's really Hightower, Brian Belichick, who we'll see if he stays. Steve just took the DC job he's going to take the DC job at UNC with Bill once Washington plays their bowl game. And we'll see with Mike Pellegrino as well. But like, Covington's not an Elliott Wolf guy, so it'll be interesting to see what happens there.
I've always heard good things about Brian Belichick as a coach, and I know he's young and he's still only coached safeties, but I'd like to see him stay and maybe try to move up the ranks.
Him and Pellegrino are both tremendous player developers.
That's what I would hate if they clean house, make major changes. That would be unfortunate to lose a guy like Pellegrino. I think's done an amazing job as cornerbacks coach.
Yeah, I those are two guys I'd want to keep. Bill might go for him, and if that. It is what it is, especially with Brian. He wants to go coach with his dad. I'm not going to fault him for that. Yeah. And there's nothing the Patriots can countersell. If the plan is I want to go coach with my dad, promotion doesn't bring his dad here, right? Maybe there's a price eventually, but
if they're going to make small changes, half measures, and I know people wouldn't be happy about it, but if that's what they're going to do, then clean house of anyone who's touched a wide receiver in New England.
That is, Tyler Hughes.
Bottom, drafting, developing, coaching. Get it all
actually
out, start over there.
Tyler Hughes is the one guy on offense that's not from the Wolf Tree. He was here, and then he was in Washington with Jed Fish. So, you want to talk to me about Tyler Hughes? I don't know that Tyler Hughes' job should be safe.
Right. You got to something has to change. Like there's going to be. I think it was Albert Breer who said on our very station, how tapped in he is. Like, someone's going to pay the price.
Somebody, You
win fewer games than you did last year after getting rid of Bill Belichick. Someone's got to pay the price.
It's not going to be the same coaching staff. It's not. I would be shocked.
Yeah.
But we'll have more time to get to that. Actually, our next show. So we're off next week because you're off. So our next show will be kind of looking at, I don't know how much we're going to break down Patriots Bills week 18. So it's probably going to be setting the stage for the off season. So we'll have some of these conversations for real in 2 weeks.
Sure.
We're getting there. It's almost that time again. I can feel it shifting into draft mode.
Vacation can't come soon enough at this point.
This is your last thing, right?
I am getting the hell out of here and going, I'm going to cover the Bruins game tonight.
Okay.
Then that'll be it for me.
I was going to say, you're impressively locked in for your last thing.
I'll be at the last 2 Patriots games other than that. And I'll be on the air with Ty Anderson on December 26th and December 30th.
So there you go. Tune in for that.
2 Patriots games. Other than that, that's it for me for the rest of the
year.
I
will have the Patriots throughout this week and next week. I'm on Tuesday, Felger and Maz. Wednesday, I'm on before the Celtics. I'll have your Celtics pre-half post. Thursday, I'm on 6 to 10 with McCarthy and Kendra. Friday, I'm on 10 to 2 with Phil Perry. Sunday kickoff on Sunday. Patriots Saturday, Sunday kickoff Sunday. I'm on with Mark Dendero the next Monday morning after that. I am on New Year's Eve I got Celtics pre-half post and an hour after Celtics, final shift of the year on the station. That's kind of cool.
That's
and
it.
Then I'm on
Did you get all that?
and then I'm on 2 to 6 New Year's Day with Matt McCarthy when he will probably just annoy me about college football, which
I can't wait for that.
That was a weird weekend for me because like two big takes I have. Two takes I feel like I'm pretty well known for are I don't like Josh Allen. I think he's overrated. And I love college football. And the college football games were terrible. And I'm sitting there like, man, we didn't get one good game. I'm going to hear about this all week. This is going to suck. And then Josh Allen's going to light up the Patriots on top of it. I'm just going to look like an idiot. And then the one thing I didn't think was going to happen was Josh Allen looking pedestrian against the Patriots. And it's like, okay, all right, that's a bounce back. I'll take it.
Weekend
redeemed. This weekend didn't totally suck. We have commercials in red zone now, which is atrocious.
Oh, my God.
I thought this was America, but although they didn't end up airing the commercials, so I guess they know people are pissed. Yeah. But whatever.
They'll reverse course on that, I would imagine.
All right. That'll do it for us. You find more of the show, Sports Hub YouTube channel, Patriots audio feed, wherever you get your podcast. Until the next one, for Matt Dolloff, I'm Alex Barth. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll talk to you. Have a good New Year. We'll talk to you after the New Year.
Merry Christmas. Happy New Year.